been selected to receive certain awards. Some of them are community, some of them are internal. Before we get into that, we have a special presentation to make today that's a bit unusual, but I am so honored and pleased to have the opportunity to do this. Something that you may not realize is that this class is linked to one of the most devastating events in our country's history. 12 years ago, when these students were in first grade, it was September 2001. And the tragedies of September 11th occurred. These kids were in first grade, many of them right here at Christian Life. But out of that tragedy comes so many different blessings, as we have seen in the years since then. Great loss, but great blessings. God works in many wonderful and amazing ways, and today we have an example of God's work. After the 9/11 attacks in 2001, many of the students at CLA, like many other schools around the country, sent letters of encouragement to the rescue workers at the World Trade Center and the Pentagon. The Christian Life Academy letters ended up being delivered to a group of FBI agents working at the Pentagon. Amid the grim task of sorting through the rubble of the buildings, the agents were touched by the letters they read while attending a church service held in a makeshift tent. One of the agents said aloud, "I sure wish there was some way we could thank these kids." And God answered that statement, as one of the next letters they picked up had a phone number on it. And that phone number belonged to a student at Christian Life Academy who was in first grade then and has graduated from Christian Life Academy today. FBI agent Dan Riley Young picked up the phone and dialed the number, and he, along with other agents, talked to this student, and a friendship was born. Later, this young man and his family were invited by Dan to visit the FBI headquarters in Quantico, Virginia, a tour not often bestowed on civilians. Dan and this student remained in contact over the years, and yesterday, Dan, now retired from the FBI, surprised Stephen Yowell by driving to Baton Rouge to attend his graduation from CLA. Stephen, would you join me on the stage? And I would like to ask FBI agent Dan Riley Young to also join us on the stage. Agent Young, we stand in honor of you today, for you represent the best that the United States of America has to offer our country. Your sacrifice and your selfless service to this country, especially during the dark days of September 2001 and the months and years following, leave me speechless. And for this selfless act to have stayed in touch with Stephen all these years. It was my understanding even back then, because Stephen was in Gina's first grade class. My wife was his first grade teacher, and it was part of school projects going on. Our children's pastor, who was Marie Seeley at the time, had a lot of our students writing letters. And for these letters to end up, and for that relationship to have been carried on through this day, and for Mr. Young to be with us here today is an amazing thing. Well, he brought, and I'm going to actually let him present this to Stephen, but he brought with him the letter. Stephen Yowell, September 13, 2001, just a couple of days after the event. And it says, "I pray for you every day," E-V-E-R-E. Christian Life Academy, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and the phone number in the upper corner with some numbers kind of written backwards there, Stephen. And then Pentagon. And we would like to have a commemorative picture for our history of you presenting this to Stephen.
over there. Have your special day today. I'll get through this in a second here. I wrote on here for Stephen, and it goes for you. May God and country be forever in your hearts.
Amen.
We have something we'd like to send back to, he lives in South Carolina now, but we would like to send a little piece of Christian Life Academy back with you. For those cool mornings in South Carolina, on the beach, and a good cup of coffee, courtesy of CLA.